Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to show you how I decoupage a napkin onto a tile to make a coaster. So there are a few different techniques. I'm going to show you my favorite. I'll talk about the others, but my favorite is the iron-on in order to keep the bubbles out, or any wrinkles, I should say, out of the napkin. If any of you decoupage with napkins, you know that that is the hardest thing, is trying to get all the wrinkles and having a smooth finish on your project. So we are going to be using, today I have the 4x4 tiles. Now these are ceramic tiles. You could get these at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards. I got mine at Home Depot. They're 8 cents a piece. So I buy them by the case. I get a case of 100 for $8. So you're gonna need a tile. You are gonna need a napkin of choice. Gonna need a pair of scissors, Mod Podge, of course. I like to use a sponge brush, although you can use a regular paintbrush if you'd like. I prefer the sponge brushes. Let's see. For the bottom, you could use either a piece of cork. Now, Dollar Tree sells these. This is the Crafter Square. So Dollar Tree sells these. It's a single piece of cork though. So for a 4x4 tile, you're only going to be able to get 2 out of this. So, you know, you have a lot of excess cork, but that's okay. I guess you can cut them into circles or squares and just use the corners. I got these felt. These are the furniture felt pieces. I took the top of this off already. This I got at Dollar Tree also. You get a variety of sizes. And I've used these on some of my projects. I prefer covering the whole thing only because of the way the bottom is. I just think it looks better covering the whole thing. You could even use a piece of felt. You could glue a piece of felt to the bottom of that also. The other couple things we need, a piece of parchment paper, not wax paper, this is parchment paper. Dollar Tree also sells this. I had to get this at Target. I bought it during the holidays, and Dollar Tree, I couldn't find it in any Dollar Trees. I've seen them there now though, so you can get it at your local Dollar Tree. You'll also need an iron. Now, look at that cute little iron. I was using my full-size iron, which is fine, and I may go back to that because this little iron, this is a little crafting iron that I picked up at Joann's, and yes, it's oh so cute and fits perfectly on my project. My problem is I'm left-handed, and I am very left-handed. And the way this cord is made, I believe this is made for a right-handed person. I have learned to live in a right-handed world, but there are some things that I just cannot get the hang of, and this may be one of them. So I'll probably be pulling out my big iron at some point and using that. Now the last thing you're going to need, if you want to use these as actual coasters and put something hot on them, you need to seal them. We're going to seal them with a coat, maybe 2 coats of Mod Podge, but that will not help your cup from sticking to it because the heat will activate the glue in the Mod Podge and it will stick. So you will need to get some high temperature engine enamel. This is the clear gloss. You could tell by the top, the cover of it, the cap. It also comes in like black and red, so be really careful when you're looking for it. Make sure that your cap is clear and it does say gloss clear on it. This will withstand heats up to 550 degrees. So if you want to use them, you're going to need to seal it. So let's get started. I picked this napkin to use today. It says embrace up there and all these little flowers on here. It says life, silence, change, kindness, challenges, hope, faith, family, peace, and love. I thought in today's world, this is really an appropriate napkin to use. So with your napkin, you want to make sure that you peel it all the way down to a single layer. Some of these have 2 or 3 plies on them, so you really have to take a look at it. I thought some of my napkins, I got them all, and then when I went and put them on my project, I found that there was another ply that I missed. So you're going to want to peel this. Some of them will peel really easy like this one. Other ones are not so easy. Just take your time. Usually you can find a little place somewhere along the border that is loose, and you'll be able to get your finger in there, pull it apart, and then you can work it through the whole napkin. I've also gotten to pretty much the whole thing, all the way down to the last few pulls, and I've ripped the napkin. So just be careful, be patient. Decoupaging with napkins, you need a lot of patience. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this because we're only going to use one of these on our 4x4 tile. So I'm just going to cut this one off. And cut this one off here. And you could see how thin this is. So this just had 1 extra ply on it. So I will be good when I go ahead and apply this to my tile. Okay, so we'll put those aside for another project. I have my Mod Podge here. I keep a piece of this parchment paper over the cap only because, I don't know about you, but after a while my caps get stuck on here, and then I'm using a knife or something trying to pry it apart. So I put a piece of parchment paper on there, and so far so good. So we're going to take our tile and we're going to apply a nice coat of Mod Podge on here. Make sure that you get the corners really well. Now you could do 1 or 2 coats. I usually just do 1, but I've seen videos people do 2. So I haven't had any problem just doing 1 coat of Mod Podge. And now I'm going to put this aside and let this dry. And it will probably take about 20 minutes to dry. So I went ahead and I already have this one Mod Podged. So I'm going to stick this one over on the side so that it can dry. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to use this one. Now before Christmas, and Christmas was a few weeks ago, I went ahead and I Mod Podged probably about 10 of these, and I put them aside for future use, and I have had no problem. I've done several of them in the last few days with the tiles that have been Mod Podged for a few weeks, and I've had no problems. So you can go ahead and do a bunch of them and then come back to them. So we're going to take our napkin and we're going to put it on here. Now this is just a little bit bigger than the tile itself. You'll want to work your napkin before you actually secure it, and make sure that you have the pieces of the napkin that you want on there. So you may have to, cut part of it off. I like this embrace up at the top, so I want to make sure I'm going to get that. And then I think it's pretty centered. Oh, I wish I could have got the piece on there, but I can't, so that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and center that. I have a piece of parchment paper here. I just ripped off a little piece. I'm going to lay it on top of my napkin. And I'm going to use my little bitty iron here. I'm going to stick it right in the middle and press down on it. Now these little irons, these don't get real hot either, and that's the other thing. I thought maybe they got a little hotter than they actually are. But you're just going to go back and forth on here a few times. I'm going to make sure that you get every corner of it. And this is, the heat is activating the glue in the Mod Podge. So we're going to get our napkin on here nice and secure. Now some people, they use saran wrap and they have very good results. Basically the same steps. You put your Mod Podge down, and while it's wet, you're going to lay your napkin on top of it, and then you're going to take a piece of saran wrap and you're going to stretch it across, and you're going to smooth out all the wrinkles. Now, I have not had success with that. I still have wrinkles, and ever since I found this method, this is my go-to method. So I think I've gotten every little corner on here. So I'm going to just take my parchment paper off, and that does not stick to the napkin. And here we have it. Now this is a little bit warm, and it is on here. It's secured except for this excess. So I'm going to put this one aside, and I'm going to let that cool off. I went ahead and I made tiles for all of the steps that I'm going to be showing you today. So I'm going to grab this one here. I did this one earlier. This is nice and dry. Now, there's two ways to get this off. I've seen people take a nail file and you just file it down along the edges and you pull this off. I cut mine with a scissors as long as I can get it nice and close. I have no problem with that. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut this excess off here as close as we possibly can to the tile. And I tell you, some of these that I've done, you can't even tell that it's a napkin on here. They are just so pretty. I did some gifts for Christmas, and I did a video. I was hoping to get this video in before Christmas because I know with COVID and everything that's been going on, people, you know, may not have had a lot of extra money to spend for gifts, and you know, we like to give little trinkets to people just so that they know that we're thinking about them. And I thought this was such an inexpensive thing to do, and so I was hoping to get this video out before Christmas. I didn't, but I did do the video on what I did and gave as a gift, and I had done some little gnome coasters, and then along with that I found at the Dollar Tree the gnome mugs and the towel, and I gave that with a packet of hot chocolate and mini marshmallows, and it was a hit, and it was a very, very inexpensive gift. So after we cut the excess off, we're going to go ahead and we're going to Mod Podge this one more time. We're going to give it a good coat because we want to make sure that those ends are sealed really, really well. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, I sometimes get anxious, but you really have to be patient with the Mod Podge and let it dry. Let it dry in between coats. I get anxious sometimes, and then I end up having problems because it's not totally dry, and I may rip part of the napkin. I've done that many times. So patience is key when you're doing Mod Podge, and just let it dry. And with these coasters, can actually do several at a time. Okay, So while this one is drying, we're gonna need to let this one dry up. I'm gonna go on to my next one because I do have a few that are done except for putting the backing on them. And I did this one. I mean, look at that. That is just, that napkin is beautiful. I love the vibrant colors in there. I have that one, and then I also did this one. Now these are actually ready to go. They've been sprayed, they've been treated. The only thing is putting the backing on. Now I like to use the cork and cover the whole back. But like I said, you're only gonna get about 2 tiles if you do that. And I went ahead earlier, I measured this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this piece of cork and secure it on there. And it really does adhere very, very well. So what you're gonna end up with after 2 of these is just kind of an L shape. And you know, like I said, I guess you could maybe make these into circles. If you have a hole punch, some kind of a puncher, you can maybe punch some circles or squares and use them in the corners. I don't know. I have so many of those pieces. I don't know what to do with them. But I'm gonna go ahead. This is nice and sticky on the back. I'm gonna go ahead and lay this right on here. Push it down really, really well. Like I said, these adhere so, so well. Alrighty. And now, look at that. It really does. It's really, really good. So there you have it. That is my version of decoupaging, making coasters with napkins and tiles. Now, if you're new to decoupage and you like the napkins, now you could decoupage with practically anything. I've used fabric, I have used pictures, I've used magazine pictures that I've cut out. You can use anything to decoupage. If you like napkins, and it's my favorite. That and fabric is actually my favorite. I have a video also how to decoupage on a glass plate with fabric. So if you're interested, please check that one out. And terracotta pots I decoupage on. I have some videos on those, so please check those out. But if you do like napkins, I suggest that you get into a napkin swapping group on Facebook. There's several of them. I'm in a couple of them, and they're wonderful. If you're just starting out and you let the people, the members in these groups know, they're so willing to send napkins, and I am too. So if you want to try some things out and you don't have any napkins, or you know, I can help you out in any way, please, please leave me a comment, contact me. I'm more than willing to send out a few napkins to get you going with them and help you along with your decoupage process. So again, I thank you so much for joining me today. If this is your first time here, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. I will be doing more hauls and more DIYs. So please come back, check me out, and happy decoupage. Have a wonderful day. If it's the end of your evening, I hope that you're relaxing tonight. And as always, please stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye for now.